Welcome back to Lens Language. Today I want to take this cinematography quiz as someone who believes to be really good at cinematography and that's done cinematography for at least over half a decade now. I'm constantly breaking down shots, studying. I've even gone as far to study color theory and study a bit of psychology. I just as far as like colors, nothing deep. Like red makes you feel anger or it could represent passion, that type of psychology feeling. And also going to studying some paintings as well and learning terms such as like chiaroscuro, uh, manipulating shadows because as a cinematographer you have to know how to manipulate shadows as far as lighting. But all of those things involved, I decided that it'd be interesting if I took a cinematography quiz, and anyone who watches this video as well can take this quiz along with me, keep track of their score, and see how many they got right as well. And yeah, let's get into it. Question one of so is it only 6 questions? Well, what is a cinematographer's usual intention when shooting an establishing shot? Without looking at the answers, I definitely would say uh, it's in the name, establish the background, maybe possibly establish the characters within the space that they're in. But let me see. To cover all the cast characters in one shot? No, no. To provide the audience with a mental map of where actors and props are positioned in a scene relative to each other? Honestly, I don't think so. Cause I had this thought as well that the establishing shot actually doesn't have the characters in it. Cause I don't think that's would be the point of an establishing shot. I think that'd be the point of more so like a wide shot or an extreme wide shot to show the characters, props, everything's positioned within a scene, like a wider shot. But the establishing shot is to really just establish the location, I believe. To give viewers geographic and background context at the opening of a scene, often without characters. Yeah, I'd say often without characters included. Sometimes it could have characters included, and that would ultimately prove the second answer right because it would give a mental map of where actors and props are positioned in a scene. But I'll go with the third option. I really hope it isn't the second option. What does a medium shot include? A tight partial framing of the subject, either actors or I'm thinking that a full framing of the entire subject with little to no background. A full framing. What? Oh, no. That's a wide shot. Full framing the entire subject. Wide shot is from the crown of the person's head to the soles of the person's feet with little to no background. Um, Even though a wide shot is still, I think, 40%. 60% subject, 40% background. So with little to no background, it's a bit confusing to me how you can fully frame a subject with little to no background. Uh, of the entire subject, I mean, and a large wide angle landscape shot. Uh, that's self-explanatory. Why would a medium shot be a wide angle landscape shot? So yeah, a tight partial framing of the subject because a medium shot is partial. Medium shot is to the waist of the person to the crown of their head. So it represents a tight shot as well. What is the camera movement called which combines both horizontal and vertical camera movements in the same motion? I was thinking arc, to be honest, because an arc not only moves this way, but no. An arc includes a pan trucking motion. So no, it isn't that. Dialing movement. Dialing can be horizontal and vertical, to be honest. But I think a singular dialing motion. No, I mean it could have the same motion. A crabbing movement. Crabbing is only horizontal. Crabbing is also known as trucking. It's when if my character were to walk this way, and my camera is, let's say, right here, and it just follows the person that way, that's a trucking and or crabbing movement. Panning movement, that is when the camera is fixed on a tripod, so that incorporates zero of the two. Does not incorporate horizontal nor vertical. A compound movement, I'm trying to think if I've actually heard of this term. I've probably heard it used, but I don't know if it's like an official term. But I mean, it's insinuating that you would merge movements. So I'm torn between dialing movement and a compound movement. But the question being, what is the camera movement called, which combines both horizontal and vertical camera movement in the same motion, implies that there is a specific movement name for something that does combine the two, not something that could possibly incorporate the two, which is a dialing movement. So I will be going with compound movement. Question 4, shooting upwards or downwards on a subject is used by cinematographers to achieve what perspective effect? Um, let's see. Stature. Huh. I'm sorry about that. Stature, authority. Shooting upwards makes the subject appear more authoritative, and vice versa. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Fear and unease. No, no, because just because someone has authority and they're shot at like a high angle or a low angle doesn't always imply that we're scared of them. Like in a recent video I broke down with the Invincible versus Conquest fight. Conquest had the authority, but Mark wasn't scared. In fact, he was very enraged and very tired of everything. So at no point was he, or I won't say no point because I didn't cover the portion where he did get scared, but the portions that I covered, he wasn't scared, but Conquest still was given a low angle, which was authoritative. Authoritative? Yeah, authoritative. Huh. Fear and unease, I believe, would be um a bit more when the camera shakes. So if we were to do two complementary shots, and complementary shots are two shots that mirror each other. So during a dialogue scene, if I'm on the right or on the screen right now, it's the left gridded thirds looking to the right side of the screen. You'd have this dialogue and I'd be talking, I'd say, hey, I think it's time that we really did something different with your hair. And then it would cut to the person that they're talking to. You would frame them on the right gridded thirds looking to the left. And that would give the that would be the complementary shot to the last one because it mirrors. Hey, I don't really want to do anything with my hair. I prefer to keep my hat on. So that is the two complementary shots. If during the complementary shots I show the person on this side talking very calmly, hey, so I'd use the same dialogue. Hey, we should really do something with your hair. Da 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 da. And then it cuts to this guy, and while he's talking, he's like, I don't want to do anything with my hair. And then the camera has a slight shake. I was shaking my desk to try to replicate a subtle camera shake. That would imply that the subject that is talking feels a bit uneasy because when it cuts to the complementary shot of the person that isn't shaking, his camera isn't shaking, that would imply they're not feeling uneasy or nervous. And that would signify kind of who has the control in the situation a bit as well, because the guy who's talking is clearly, maybe feeding in. Maybe I'd give him like a bit of a low angle. Maybe I'd punch in, give him like that authoritative feel. Maybe I even center frame him. There's so much you could play around with, but I did that to show how something as subtle as the camera shake with two identical shots for a dialogue scene can show how one person is a bit more calm, cool, and collected, while the other person is a bit uneasy or fearful. Which is why I don't think shooting upwards or downwards in a subject would achieve that perspective effect directly. It could achieve it indirectly. Another way to show uneasiness, or I guess not uneasiness, danger. Danger, I don't think would show shooting upward or downward either. it could imply that indirectly, but we'd use other features to show danger. Um, Possibly a Dutch tilt would show that something is off. Not quite danger, but it'd show that something is off. And to emphasize the actor's hair color and facial features, we would not shoot. I mean, it's crazy is you can break so many rules in cinematography. I'm going to go with the basic option of number one, but to emphasize the actor's hair color and facial features is also another. I can see that being used, shooting upwards or downwards of the subject. Like let's say someone is wearing a wig and the cap is on kind of loosely, so we get someone, someone looks at them and they're talking, and again I'll use the same thing. I just keep doing this. I don't know why I keep doing this, but sure, let's do it this way. This person's on the right side. They're looking. They're like, yo, um, uh, they're talking again. I don't know. So they're talking again. Da 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 da. Hey, what are you looking at? Is there something weird going on with me or something? And the person over here is like, is there something weird going on? Bro, there's no way. Are you? And they look down, and the next shot is the same shot again, but maybe it's at a like a lower angle, and you can now look upward to see that the person is wearing a wig, and that would actually then emphasize the actor's hair. Oh, I'm sorry. It says actor's hair color and facial. I mean, still, it would emphasize the actor's hair. It would emphasize any facial features. Low angles on possibly like noses would enlarge them. If someone's feeling insecure, you can do that. Uh, so yeah, I think you could also achieve this as well. But the I think the number one instant option, the go-to, what I think of when I think of shooting upwards or downwards, otherwise known as a low angle or high angle, is stature and authority. What is the main benefit of using a third-party camera app on your smartphone? Let's see. Third-party camera apps often allow you to manually adjust and lock focus, unlike the generic camera app. Well, yeah, you cannot lock focus on your generic phone app, as far as I'm concerned. So that sounds like a plus. You're shooting you're shooting a film. You can't have your focus going all over the place. Third-party apps often recalibrate the smartphone's camera aperture to increase image resolution quality. They often recalibrate the smartphone's camera aperture. What's interesting is smartphone cameras, I don't think actually have have aperture. They have masking and tracking features that will mask your subject, and anything that's further or too close is is blurred like manually. It's manually blurred, then they create a mask of blur around the subject. So I don't think this is right, because the smartphones, because you wouldn't, to increase the smartphone image resolution, you just need more light. And I guess if you could calibrate the smartphone's camera aperture to lower it all the way. But I'm pretty sure smartphones don't have aperture. They have, yeah, because the goal is to capture everything. The goal is to literally capture everything. They have purchasable neutral density filters that reduce brightness without altering the smartphone lens ISO. Well, that has to be false, because neutral density is a filter that it can be built in, but it's used by blocking the actual camera. So you can't do that within a third-party camera app without it altering internal settings. So I'll go with dang, but I could be wrong. Maybe like a neutral density filter that I'm referring to is like the variable ones that I put on like my Sony, the ones that can twist. Maybe I just don't know enough about the smartphone camera apps, but third-party camera apps will often allow you to manually adjust and lock focus, unlike the generic camera app. Well, I know you can't do that in the generic camera app. I'm leaning towards this. Recalibrate a smartphone's camera size, aperture. Maybe it, no, maybe it, no, maybe it can. I was using, dang, I used one time this software for like previs. I'm trying to think if it gave me aperture and increase image resolution quality. They have purchasable neutral density filters that reduce brightness. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the last one. Third-party apps often recalibrate the smartphone's camera aperture. Manually adjust. No, you can kind of adjust and lock focus depending on the camera app. I'll go with the second one. I'm going with the second one. That's what I'm going with. How do generic smartphone cameras handle focusing? Man. Just keep tagging my weak points. Smartphone cameras focus on the object centered on screen or an object in frame the user. I I I think I was wrong. I think I was wrong before. This this one. Ah, man, I might have been wrong. The level of ambient light and the height of the sun determines the smartphone's camera quality of focus. I don't. I don't think. I think height of the sun is too much being thrown in there. Maybe an ambient light, because like, what if you're doing a high contrast look? It can still focus on it with enough light. So I don't think the wording on that is correct. Smartphone cameras have preset changeable focus filters for use during light settings. Smartphone cameras have preset changeable focus filters for you. I don't think smartphone cameras. I'm sorry. I don't think smartphone cameras have presets though. Smartphone cameras are always in focus. They are flawless engineering masterpieces. Steve Jobs came up with that one. I'm gonna go with the first one. I'm gonna go with the first one. Are they gonna make me pay for results? Oh no, no, 5 out of 6. I got 5 out of 6. Okay, let's see which ones. Which one did I get wrong? Okay, establishing shot. I was right on the establishing shot. Question 2, I was right on the medium shot. Question 3, I was right on the compound movement. I was questioning compound or dolly. I was right on that one. I was right on question 4 with the stature and 30, upward and downward. Main benefit of it was the first one. It was the first one. And I had the first one the entire time, and I switched it at the last minute. So it does allow you to manually adjust and lock focus, unlike generic camera. I may have been, I was wrong. Ultimately, I was wrong, but I may have been right about the camera, uh, not having, not necessarily having like aperture and just it having masking and tracking options to create that blur and give the illusion. Because yes, that's interesting. Smartphone cameras focus on the object center and the object that usually user manually taps. But I think that's temporary because when you tap it on the iPhone, it still shifts too fast. But apparently, we're now learning the third-party camera app often allows you to manually adjust and lock the focus, so you can keep the focus locked now. Man, okay, that's interesting though. I think that's pretty interesting. That was a pretty cool test. 16 minutes. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool quiz. Yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. That was the cinematography quiz. Let me know what your score was, if you got all the answers right, if you played along. And yeah, if you enjoyed, take care.